Hello, bros. Let me tell you about my weekend. Last weekend, we decided to go to Tampa, Florida. We left the house at about 4 o'clock on Friday and planned to stop at St. Simon Island in Georgia for a beach day on Saturday and arrive on Sunday down in Tampa. About 3 hours into our trip, at about 7 o'clock on Friday night, we stop off in Santee, South Carolina for a quick charge, a 20-minute plug in the car to charge the Tesla. During that time, Katie runs over to Wendy's, pick up some food, the dog goes out on the grass and pees, and the boys get out of the car. Let's spend 20 minutes stretching our legs. The boys aren't wearing shoes because we're in the car for a car ride. So I open up the front trunk of the Tesla. I open up the front trunk, I grab their shoes, and I try and shut the door, and the trunk does not close. The emergency lock is latching on, but the lock is not engaging to keep it closed. So this would be a problem. It would probably be pretty unsafe for someone to drive on the highway. Driving going 60 miles an hour, catch a gust of wind, the emergency lock or breaks or fails in some way. The hood pops up as if we haven't all seen planes, trains, and automobiles. But Tesla doesn't even allow you to make this mistake. Tesla has a safety feature that the car will not drive faster than 15 miles per hour if the hood is not closed. And I appreciate that. So we can't drive around to get back onto the highway to continue our trip or to turn around and go back home if that were our plan. We are stuck in Santee, South Carolina. We're calling Tesla support to try and get whatever phone debugging or problem solving or troubleshooting that they can over the phone. And they discover that there's a problem with the car and it needs to be fixed. Now, with a Tesla, you need a very specific mechanic in order to fix the car. It's not the type of thing that every Joe Schmo at a body shop will know how to or have the tools to or be authorized to fix. So we learn that we are going to need to get a tow. So Tesla calls up a tow so that we can get a tow truck while we search for hotels and rental cars so that we can get back home or so that we can continue on with our trip. However, we're not able to engage in any of this because there is an air show in Charlotte, South Carolina, which is about an hour west of us. So there are no hotel rooms in this small town, and there are no car rentals in this small town. It also is now 8:30 at night. So we call Tesla back to try and figure out where's the tow truck, what can we do? We can't get a car to rent, so we need a tow truck which has a large enough bed that we could fit both kids, both adults, both car seats, and the dog, and our luggage inside of the tow truck. So we get one. We get a tow truck which is big enough, and it arrives at about 11:30. And during that time, we've been trying to find where in the vicinity can we find a hotel room and a car rental so that we can not sleep in our car. So while we're waiting for the tow truck to arrive, we take the car seats out and put them up on their side in the back in the car, and the boys are laying down to sleep, and Katie and I are searching drastically to try and find hotel rooms. We find a hotel room in Florence, South Carolina, which is about an hour and a half north of where we are. The tow truck driver arrives finally at 11:30, and we all pack into the tow truck. The boys are already asleep in the back of the car, and we buckle in the car seats, and the boys stay asleep in the bright light in the cab, with the door chime on because the door is open and the bed is down, so the alarm is going off. So we're all buckled in somewhere around midnight, and we start driving. We get into Florence, where we have a hotel room. And we learn that the truck driver has been working since 5 o'clock in the morning, and he's exhausted. So we're like, you know what, let's get you a hotel room. But we can't get any hotel rooms because in the time between 11:30 when we booked the hotel and 1 o'clock in the morning, the all remaining hotel rooms become booked. Somebody has booked several hotel rooms between the hours of 11:30 and 1 o'clock in the morning. So the tow truck driver helps us into our motel, and he ends up sleeping in the cab of his truck. He wakes up at about 5 in the morning the next day and drives back up to Raleigh for the remaining 2 hours to drop off our car. So we wake up on Saturday morning and we call Enterprise, which should have a car rented for us from Tesla, who faxed over a rental request to the Enterprise in Florence, South Carolina. And it turns out that our car is not available because there were like 15 other car rentals ahead of us at 11:30 at night when the car rental was put forth. So we can't rent a car. We have this hotel and we need to get out of this town. So Katie is looking up for trains and buses and how can we get out of this town without a car rental. So I walk over to McDonald's, which is right across the parking lot, and on my way, I get solicited for any interest in paying for a female companion. And I have no interest in a female companion. So I quickly excuse myself from the would have been conversation. And I tell Katie, we've got to get out of here. This is not the type of hotel that I want to have my family and kids in. So Katie has found a train, but the train is going to take 8 hours because there's going to be a long layover in Fayetteville for the one train to switch, and then we'll get into another train before we can get 2 hours to our home. She also finds a bus, so we look for the bus, and it's going to be a simple 2.5 hour bus ride from about 3 to about 5, and right now it's at about 10 o'clock in the morning, but we can't take Finnegan on the bus, so we need 2 separate modes of transportation. Adam, you rent a U-Haul and take Finnegan and the luggage in the U-Haul, and Katie will take the boys on the bus, and then we'll all get home safe by the end of the day today. So now it's our time to leave the hotel and do something. We can't find an Uber. There are no Uber drivers in Florence, South Carolina, but there is Lyft. The reason why Uber matters is because Tesla pays $100 in credit per day while your car is being worked on by Tesla. And we can't use the Uber, but we can use Lyft. So we set up a request for Lyft, and one Lyft driver never shows up, and then another Lyft driver cancels, and then finally we get a Lyft driver, and the guy picks me up, and I tell him a little bit of my story, and he says, "Oh, I wasn't going to pick you up at that hotel because that hotel is known for prostitution and drugs, and I didn't want one of those people in my car. You're lucky that I chose to pick you up." And I'm like, "Yes, I am lucky that you chose to pick me up." And he said, "You better get your family out of there as soon as you can." And I'm like, "I'm going to get my family out of there as fast as I can." So he drives me over to the Uber pickup, and I pick up a car. It's a 20-foot truck. It's a pretty big truck, but it's the only one that this town had available. I'm driving this truck back. We get back to the hotel. I fill up all of our luggage into the back of the truck, and we all pile into the cab so that we could drive over from the hotel to the bus station just so we could be away from this hotel. And we realize that the cab is not really that tight. The cab of the truck is big enough to have the dog at Katie's feet and Katie sitting down and the boys sitting in the middle seat between us. So we have room that we can drive. And we arrive over at where the bus station would be at about noon, and we're going to have to wait until 3:30. But there isn't exactly a bus station. It's just an intersection of 2 roads where the bus will come to drop off and pick people up. So we make the decision that we're in the car already. We're going to just take this truck and we're going to drive home. We'll get home before the bus would have even picked us up anyway. So we take the drive all the way back. We're on the highway and we're driving 55 and 65 on the speed limit because I'm not about to speed. I've got both hands on the wheel driving with my 2 kids in the cab of the car. And we get home, and it has been the most stressful 24 hours that I can remember ever. And we're pooped. So we sit down on the couch, turn on the TV, and pass out on the couch. That was my weekend. How was your weekend? Till next week. Bye, bros.